Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here with us today. We're going to have a very interesting 30 minutes in front of us. We're at the tail end of the conference, so thank you for all of us who are here listening to us here today or watching live on the live stream. My name is Daniel. I'm from Project Catalyst, and I'm the head of a community operations there. Now, if you haven't heard about the Project Catalyst, is one of the largest decentralized innovation engines in the world that has allocated to the tune of $150 million value in funding to more than 2,000 projects now with a global footprint across more than 100 countries around the world. Now, what we're going to be doing in the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking about the intersection of this innovation engine and industry-grade security. So before we get into all of that, I would also love to welcome my distinguished guest, friend and colleague, Danay from Checkpoint, where he is head of a blockchain security. Dan is a really exciting character. He's also an alumni of MIT and Y Combinator, so he finds himself just right at home when it comes to innovation and solving some really challenging problems in the world, as we do in Cardano as well. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Awesome.
Should I introduce?
Yeah, so maybe before we like to level set the room, some people might not be familiar who the Checkpoint is. So like, what does the organization do and how does Checkpoint find themselves in the middle of such a large community-driven global ecosystem such as Cardano? So who Checkpoint is?
Okay, perfect. So for those who doesn't know Checkpoint, Checkpoint is one of the largest cybersecurity companies in the world. We are protecting most Fortune 500s and financial institutions around the world. And our forte is network security. We've been leading that space for 30 years now.
Oh, that is fascinating. So we're gonna do a little bit of a demo later today, and then there's something we can see already behind our screens. You also had a really exciting announcement which you did earlier today, which sort of will be leading up to that demo. What did you share on the other stage? Could you remind us, please?
Of course. Thank you, Daniel. So we just announced today the deployment of our blockchain firewall on the Cardano mainnet. This is the first of its kind, meaning this is the first blockchain firewall to ever be deployed on a public blockchain.
That's amazing. Why is that important? Why should we be thinking about the security on such an industry-grade level, which often people do not immediately associate with the blockchain? What makes this a standout project?
Yeah, so I believe that currently, this moment in time, we're in a pinnacle moment for public blockchains, where public blockchains are actually becoming the new financial infrastructure backbone. And with the new regulations and the support of in the USA, we are now seeing more and more of our clients, the financial institutions, going into blockchain and going into public blockchains. And for a bank, for a financial institution to actually interact with a public blockchain, being able to accept stable coins, being able to operate freely, tokenizing RWAs, they require the same type of security that they require elsewhere. Meaning they require this type of real-time security that we're providing with blockchain firewall on Cardano.
That's fascinating. Now, how do you find yourself, like obviously today is the result of a proposal which was submitted to Project Catalyst a while back. Could you walk us a little bit of a journey? Like how did you arrive at the point of submitting a proposal and what it has looked like up until now?
Of course. So I've been in the crypto space before. I came from the crypto space, not from cybersecurity, and I joined Checkpoint 2 years ago to lead their entrance into the space. And I've always appreciated Cardano as a leader, as an innovator in the space. But specifically, the Catalyst program really helped us pave the way in a structured way and help us really get into Cardano. So for us, Catalyst was a game changer. I think that without you guys, we probably wouldn't be here, and for sure it wouldn't be the first network. So I think for us, Catalyst was really a game changer. It really made an impact. It allowed us to get into Cardano in a structured way. And once we got into Cardano, we found a lot of support outside of Catalyst with the foundation, with IO, with Emargo, with a lot of different stakeholders. I think that Cardano is an especially welcoming community, which we really like and we really appreciate. And I think one other thing that was really unique for us, that really helped us get into Cardano on the right foot, was, you know, the Catalyst proposal. We sent the proposal, we were in touch. You guys help us a lot. I see here Chris and the crowd, which was our main point of contact, really helped us go through all of the challenges of a public company applying for a ADA grant. But coming back to I think the one thing that was really unique is once we made a proposal, the community actually voted for us and got us through the, you know, the voting, and the proposal passed. I think that was a huge achievement for us, because I was able to show internally in the company, look, these guys really appreciate this. The community really wants this. This kind of validates the need and the value proposition for us. So this was very unique, and it helped us also throughout the way. Once we got into the network and the ecosystem, it helped us with the connection, and now we're actually onboarding all these different stakeholders that voted for us into the system.
Yeah, that's absolutely lovely. I think the fact that how Catalyst has served as a public innovation square where you get to meet, it's not just about submitting proposals, you actually get to meet amazing people and you create the connections, and then essentially that it's almost like a snowballing effect where you start creating new connections, new ideas, and different ways of serving a problem that initially might have been very challenging to focus on. All right, well, enough of that journey for a moment. Let's pause there. What that has resulted with was an outcome of the proposal, which obviously you talked about the announcement earlier that has become live. Can we check it out, and can you walk us through like what has come live today, and maybe let's play and put some fingers on it, and let's show the people what is live today and how they can access and what sorts of like good goodies there are. So you can take away. Would you like to demo something?
Of course, live
Let's do
demo
it.
is always exciting. David, can you help me here?
We'll have
Thank
live
you.
demos. Things may break sometimes, but not today. So kudos to you.
Well, if anything breaks, we have here David, our architect, so at least we'll have somebody to blame. Okay, so what we're seeing on the screen here is the network security status. And this is the main overview page. And on the top section here, you can see all of the global stats for the network. So this is really built for a network administrator to look at the entire stats, the security stat of the Cardano network. And you can see the work that the system has done. So just this past year, and you can see the slicer here for the dates and the tech vectors and the severity. You can see that this past year we've scanned more than 4 million transactions on the mainnet. We've looked through 9 million wallets and scanned 3 million validators, contacts. On the bottom part, you can see a leaderboard of attacks. Here you can see big transactions, which is really more of an informative note, but we can filter out big transaction later and show you how everything else looks like. The number of attacks that we found and the tracked items. Now, tracked items I think is especially interesting because what it allows you to do as a user of the system, you can add specifically your assets here that interest you, and you'll get a filtered view of only the attacks and the information that is relevant to your assets. And when I say assets, I mean the validators, the contracts, and the wallets that are relevant to your project. Now, we're going to dive a little deeper, and I'm going to show you how the log looks like. So this would be the parallel to a SOC, if you're familiar with network firewalls. And you see here all of the logs of the different attacks. Now, David, if you can filter out the big transactions, please. Thank you. So what we're seeing here are different type of attacks, and these are real attacks that we've identified and detected on the Cardano mainnet just from this past few days. You can see we've identified a malicious token airdrop campaign and a phishing campaign going on. And each one of these logs describe a different UTXO that has a malicious payload in it. And we can dive deeper into one of these logs, and I can show you how the forensics look like. Okay, so this is how a specific attack looks like. What is an attack? An attack is when we find a malicious payload, let's say a phishing attack. Here, what happens is a malicious actor sent a token that has an address in it, and this address is a phishing website. And we're able to detect that, and we're able to actually give a verdict whether the website is malicious or not, if it's a phishing attempt or not. And here you can see this is the UTXO of the token being sent to all of these different addresses, the victims here. And once we catch this malicious UTXO, we actually do clustering, and we find all of the previous UTXO that are related to the attack. Specifically here, you can see the funding, the original funding of the malicious wallet. And using this funding, the malicious wallet was able to execute this phishing attack. Now, specifically here, what we're looking at is an attack on a snack. So this is an impersonation on a snack. David, can we show the site here? Would it load? Okay, so we went out to the Explorer, and we can actually show the website that it's leading to. Here we go. So this is the malicious website, impersonating a snake, trying to get the user to connect and sign a malicious transaction, basically losing his funds. So this is just one attack from, very recent, but we're able to detect many different attack vectors, and we keep on adding new intelligence and new detection engines, finding more and more different attacks. Thank you, David.
Awesome. Well, let's give it a bit of a loud applause for this great demo. Thank you. Well, this is fascinating. One of the most immediate reactions I get out of it is it's actually very user-friendly, right? Like one of the biggest challenges in the blockchain industry over the past couple of years was accessibility of the data in a way that people can actually manipulate and work with, right? And this is especially true when you're talking to organizations. There's a really big delta in education, bridging it between like what is happening on a blockchain in those ones and zeros and what is actually being implementable on the human side of the things where people are able to detect. How do you see this tool being utilized in between different companies? Like, what are the best use cases where this is really going to land the mark really well?
So as far as we're concerned, this is an enabler. This allows companies that require a type of security standard to interact with Cardano. If you're a bank, if you're a financial institution, you're used to this type of standards. You're used to purchasing security from trusted vendors like Checkpoint. And it's just an enabler for these guys to now start and interact with Cardano, deploy TVL on Cardano, do Bitcoin DeFi on Cardano. We hope that this would be a game changer allowing growth and adoption. When we speak about enterprise adoption, we want Cardano to be in the top of the list, at least when it comes to us, when it comes to security. We want Cardano to be in the absolute top.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touched upon a very important, intriguing point. Institutional adoption doesn't happen in today's world without proper compliance and regulatory framework as well, which means that this is like one of those really big enablers ensuring that actually enterprises have tools that they can provide the security around their operations. As we chatted earlier today in the backstage, it was all about like this tool is an option, right? It's an option for you to level up your operations, to level up your service offering as an institution, and then drop into the ecosystem such as Cardano, and then give you a confidence that what you're doing is actually meeting your internal compliance and regulatory requirements, but also that you're doing really great business operations in general as such. I'll be interesting to understand, what do you see as we're talking about this adoption of those enterprises into the blockchain space beyond just the tool like itself, and also through your own experience, right? Like this was a very unique experience for all of us. Project Catalyst, it was the first time where it was a Fortune 500, and it was not only any, but also like publicly traded company, that there's a lot of learnings and iterations to come along the way. For other institutions, maybe other Fortune 500 companies who might be watching and maybe listening to us afterwards, what are the sort of like pointers that you would send them towards having you've done this pioneering step? What were your key lessons learned there, and how would you recommend other companies looking to integrate into the Cardano ecosystem using the suite of tools like these? Where would you point them in that regard?
Yes, so I think having a formalized process with a party such as a Catalyst really makes a big difference. It really helps a lot. When our legal had concerns or they needed to negotiate a certain term, it was really useful and helpful to have somebody on the other end, like you guys. Even though we're quote-unquote selling directly to the network, and being the grant was voted for by the entire network, being able to have a party to discuss, to explain, it really makes a big difference. If I can point out to certain hurdles, things that we had to overcome. The grant was in ADA, so I think being able to accept ADA in a proper way, I think that's one hurdle to overcome. There are solutions like crypto checkouts, but I think that's a key point that an enterprise has to solve early. In my opinion, any enterprise that is servicing financial institutions, it's his interest to be able to interact, accept, pay in crypto as early as possible. And I'll quote Elon Musk here, fiat is hopeless, right? That's what I'm trying to propagate inside our organization. But I think that's a key point that has to be addressed early. Another key point is, specifically about ADA, we had to get basically an opinion letter saying it's not a security, we can trade it outside of the US, inside the US. So that's another key point, to get the accounting positions, the legal position solved as early as possible. And I think now with the new regulations, with the new administration, it's going to become easier. I'd say those two, the treasury aspects and the legal aspects, are probably the two biggest ones, and Catalyst really helped us solve both issues.
Amazing. Now, having this milestone being completed is a big one, right? Like to see yourself at almost the tail end of the journey of being a proposer in Catalyst. How do you imagine that people will be using this tool going forward? And most importantly, I think you mentioned that this has almost become like a public good of sorts. Can we touch upon that and importance of it, like accessibility
I
of
wouldn't
it?
say almost. I'd say absolutely. This is now a public good because of the Catalyst ability to fund this as a network. We're now offering the monitoring service free for any stakeholder on Cardano. Anybody in the ecosystem that would like to monitor his assets, please contact me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Danay. And I'd love to onboard as many stakeholders to monitor their assets and make use of the system. Going forward, we'd also like to introduce prevention, and we're still thinking about how to go about it in terms of monetization, if we can do it through the network. But the monitoring is an absolute public good. And the more people use it, the more useful it is, the more value it brings. And we're really looking forward to onboard as many ecosystem players as possible. We already have about 20 projects monitoring their assets. Some of the leading projects on Cardano are already monitoring their assets.
That's amazing. So you heard it. It's out there for you to use, and it's been funded by community-led treasury on Cardano, which is a fascinating design in itself. Now, if I were to think a little bit into the future, obviously this is a big milestone to have been completed. What do you imagine to be the next checkpoint, pun intended, in the evolution of this web security, and in this instance, like where do you see this evolving in the wider Web3 space based on what you've learned on this project, but also like what does the future look like in this sector as such?
So we're very focused around prevention. We want to introduce prevention, protecting both wallets and smart contracts, and we do it on the application layer. So we don't introduce any censorship into the system. It's an opt-in setup where we can really provide a higher level of security, making public blockchain interaction completely safe. This is our next focus, and we hope to introduce prevention sooner rather than later. I think real-time prevention is a big missing piece for enterprise adoption, and what's needed for public blockchain to become mainstream financial infra backbone. I think that's a big part of it.
That's amazing. Well, we're at the tail end of today's conversation. Are there any parting words you would like to share? Maybe how was your Rare Evo experience this year, and where are you going next?
Okay, Rare Evo was amazing. We got to see in person a lot of our partners, people who helped us throughout the way. Here in the crowd, I see many familiar faces, friendly faces. We got to hang out with the Sundial guys, the Midnight guys, and really a lot of our friends. So it was extremely useful. And we've been able to onboard many new stakeholders to monitor their systems, making Cardano a bit safer. So we look forward to the next one.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate your time very greatly. Also the patience throughout the process. It definitely wasn't without the challenges, but your patience that has been the persevering factor that actually made this project to the completion. So again, thank you for your time here today, and hopefully we're going to be seeing more from Checkpoint going forward as well. And if you would like to follow in the footsteps of the Checkpoint, make sure to visit projectcatalyst.io. Fund 14 is open. There's about 20 million ADA available. And the deadline to submit your applications is August 18th, 6 a.m. UTC. So projectcatalyst.io, and you'll be there with us on the stage next time around. So again, Dan, thank you very much, and wishing you best of luck.
Thank you very much, Daniel.